So my wife and I were watching First 48 last night, and then I realized about halfway through this episode of First 48 that there was a time when I very easily could have ended up as the subject of First 48.
It's a podcast, just a bit of a contrast from what I'm used to. I usually have to talk fast, cause there's four people sharing the mic. But this is just me, so I say whatever I like. It might be serious, sometimes it might be funny. Sometimes I scratch your head and say Brian is such a dummy, but it's just me. I ain't got no help. This is Brian Grimes, and I'm talking to myself.
This is Brian Grimes, this is my podcast, and I am talking to myself. So my wife and I, we watch TV separately, generally speaking, because we don't watch a lot of the same stuff. She loves the home type shows, like the home improvement shows, the flip or flop shows, the little twin brothers, the good looking kids that build up the houses. I can't even think of the name of this. The Fixer Upper Brothers. Yeah, Property Brothers. That's it, Property Brothers. See, I don't watch the same shows as her. So we don't generally watch TV together. Now, one of our standing every Wednesday night, at least during the season, is Survivor. That's like Wednesday night date night. Now, we don't miss that. We watch that religiously. But other than that, we don't have a lot of TV we watch together. We try to do some Netflix things together. We both got into Ozark, so there's that. I did Outer Banks. She did not like Outer Banks. I did All American by myself. I liked All American. Season 1 was pretty good. Season 2 was whack as hell. And I'm a person like is kind of a stickler for things being pretty close to the way they are in real life when I watch them on TV. At least TV shows that are supposed to be like trying to be close to real life. And I feel like based on what I know of football and recruiting and all that stuff, All American ain't even close to real life, and it drives me crazy. That's neither here nor there, because that's not the moral or the point of the story. The point of the story is now there's not a whole lot on TV, but we still want to watch TV together. So we've been watching Family Feud every night, 7 and 7:30. Steve Harvey is a good TV show host. I don't love him on the radio, but great TV show host. And Family Feud cracks me up. But after that, gets to be 8 o'clock and we ain't got nothing to watch. So we've been watching First 48. My wife loves those cop shows. She watches Live PD. She's big on that. All the cop shows she's all about. So we've been watching First 48 for the past couple of days. So we're watching an episode of First 48 last night. And I mean, the premise of every First 48 is a call comes in, somebody is dead, and they got 48 hours to figure out who it is that killed them. So last night's episode we're watching, and the call comes in, the guy is dead. They find a like burnt up body tied up in some phone cords on the side of the road. Now they're trying to figure out who did it. So as they're investigating the story and it starts to unravel, turns out this dude was in a house he shouldn't have been in, most likely, because of a girl, and some dudes came over, decided to rob him and roll him, and then it turned south and dude ended up burnt up in a ditch. I mean, it's a pretty basic story. Now that I'm a little older in life, I see how easily something like that could happen. But there was a time when I didn't see so clearly how things like that could happen. And that could have very well happened to me back in the day. So, true story. I'm not going to exaggerate. I mean, I guess there is a possibility that some of the details may be a little more vivid in my memory than really happened. But I don't think so. I think it's pretty close to as accurate as it could possibly be. This is how I almost ended up, or not almost, could have ended up on First 48. I ain't trying to be Vince Vaughn and Couples Retreat. I'm a shark attack victim. Let's just say it. Let's just call it what it is. This is how I could have ended up on First 48, potentially, possibly. So, back in the day, talking about high school, I had a guy who I guess had a falling out with his parents, and he needed a place to live. My mom was like the Statue of Liberty. Bring me your tired, your weathered, whatever you got going on, bring it to me, yearning to be free. My mom was gonna let him, anyone that needed a place to stay, anything at all, my mom was the one, like, come on in. So my mom, of course, said he could stay at our place, no problem. All right, cool. So he moves into our place, and we're boys anyway, so we're hanging out. He's an African-American dude, because I just hung out with everybody when I was in high school, so I didn't even see it that way. But for this part of the story, it's kind of important to understand where we're starting from here. So he comes over, he moves in, he hangs, we're hanging, you know. I have a car, a little beat up Toyota Tercel. We used to call it the Nut. It was like a 1978 Toyota Tercel. I mean, it was not nice, but you know what? It was a car, and it got us from point A to point B. And you know, back then at least, kids are different these days. But back then, man, you had a car and it runs, you're good. So we would just drive all over the place, hang out all the time. So one day we're hanging, and he's like, "Hey, I need you to take me over to this girl's house." All right, that's my boy, no problem. I grew up in Sanford, Florida. If you've ever been to Sanford, Florida, it's a nice little rural area. It's growing up now. It's different now than it used to be. But I kind of grew up on the outskirts of town. We lived in a HUD house, which is like a government house, on the outskirts of town. And then you had to drive into town for everything else. But there was a bunch of different parts of Sanford. There was downtown Sanford, which has some pretty rough parts. Still does, but even back then it was poo. So he's like, "I need you to drive me to this girl's house." I'm like, "All right, cool." So we get into the Nut, and we start driving to this girl's house. So I'm like, "Where's she live?" And I'm thinking, you know, some of our usual places that we might go, some of the, you know, usual neighborhoods around the Sanford, Lake Mary area. Okay. No, he's like, you know, go into downtown Sanford. I'm like, I don't necessarily love this, but all right. So we go into downtown Sanford. We get into the fairly rough part of downtown Sanford. Now, I'm not really shook by this because I grew up hanging out with everybody, like I said, and I went to elementary school in Sanford, and I went to preschool over in Bookertown. So, like, I'm not really, like, freaked out by the fact that we're in the bad part of Sanford. And again, 16, 17, so I'm oblivious to the fact that real life stuff happens to people. So we get to this house. It's not the nicest of houses, but I'm like, well, whatever, let's go. So we go inside, and we'll call my friend Jay for just for reference. We go inside, and my friend Jay sees the girl. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? You know, does his normal kicking it type thing with her. And so he's like, "Hey, just hang for a little bit." Okay, I can hang for a little bit. So I hang for a little bit. And he disappears with this girl into one of the side rooms. All right, so now I'm in this living room of this house I've never been to before. A little on the rundown side, but whatever, is what it is. And so I sit down on this, I mean, it's a ratty-ass plaid type couch. It probably had plastic on it at some point, but the plastic is gone. It's a little ratty. The house is a little bit messy. And sitting next to me is a little toddler child with just a diaper on and some socks. And a little outie belly button. And outie belly buttons creep me out, by the way. If you have an outie, I apologize. But they do. They creep me out just a little bit. But that's not the part of the story either, really. Just a little fun fact. So we're sitting on the couch, and we are watching Looney Tunes. So now I'm sitting on a plaid-ass, ratty-ass couch with a toddler that I do not know, wearing nothing but a diaper and some socks with an outie belly button. And we're sitting there and watching Looney Tunes. Now, the house is a mess. Like I said, it's pretty messy. There's, stuff everywhere. A little bowl of cereal, like Cheerios that the kids been eating on. I was hungry too, but I didn't eat on the Cheerios. I didn't know how long they've been there. So we're sitting there watching, and the house is a mess, like I said. So, there's stuff everywhere. It's not like hoarder's mess, but it's not neat. I mean, and there's random stuff on the table. Like I said, there's a little bowl of Cheerios. There's some magazines. There are loose bullets on the table. Loose bullets. No gun to go with the bullets, but loose bullets. I don't know at this point why it didn't register to me. What the absolute hell are you doing sitting in a house, pretty much in the hood, with a kid with just a diaper and some socks on with an outie belly button and loose bullets on the table watching Looney Tunes? I don't know why at that point it didn't strike me as what the hell are you doing, but it didn't. And so that's what we're doing, just watching some Looney Tunes. I feel like 20, 30 minutes passes by, but it probably wasn't that long, honestly. And there is a knock on the door, but the door ain't closed. Like the front door ain't closed. There's a screen door with the glass, the plastic plexiglass, and it's closed with that little latch that really ain't gonna keep nobody out. But the door itself is open. So I hear a whack, 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 and I turn and look, and I'm thinking to myself, well, probably should just ignore this, right? Because this ain't my house. So if they're supposed to be here, they'll walk in, whatever. Whack, 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 whack. Hey! My son of a. So I get up, and I go over to the door, and the little kid still sitting there on the couch watching Looney Tunes, just a diaper and socks, a little outie belly button, eating probably day-old Cheerios. So I go to the door, and the dude's like, who you? I'm like, who, me? I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm Brian. I don't know what to say. And he asked where the girl was. And I didn't know what to say. Like, I had no idea what to say. So I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just kind of visiting. So I don't know what response to give. And so he starts to walk around, like, sort of kind of pacing a little bit. And then he walks back down the steps from the porch, like towards the car. And I'm like, well, this isn't going to go well. So I shut the actual door at this point because I'm like, well, I don't know. The plexiglass door is not making me feel all that secure. So I shut the actual door at this point. And I guess my boy Jay and the girl had heard the commotion. And so they come out of the side room about this time. And as he's coming out, he's pulling his shirt on. Now, there ain't no beach in that room, and there ain't no pool in that room, and I'm pretty sure there's no tanning bed in that room. So I know what's going on in that room as he pulls his shirt back on. And I say, hey, there's a dude outside. He was knocking on the door, asking where you are, and I didn't know what to say. And so when he walked away, I shut the door. So at about the same time, he says, Jay, did you tell him we here? And she says, y'all got to get out of here. I'm processing this. I'm like, look, I'm going to answer one question at a time. Did I tell him we here? I'm not invisible, okay? Like, you can see that we here. Like, what do you mean, did you tell him we here? He goes, no, did you tell him we here? Like, him and her. And I'm like, well, wait a second. I hate to point out the painfully obvious, but I am probably the only Caucasian dude in a 4 to 5 block radius. I'm pretty certain he doesn't think that I just rolled up and sat in the house. There's a car outside that he probably doesn't know. I'm sitting in the house. Ain't nobody else in the house except for me and the little toddler with just the diaper, the no shirt, the socks, and the little outie belly button, eating 2-day-old Cheerios. And you want to know that I tell him, are we here? Now let me address you. We got to get out of here. Where we going to go? There's a dude right out front. We need to stay right here until this dude leaves or this blows over or whatever. So she's like, no, y'all got to go. And so at about the same time, he starts walking towards the side door, like through the kitchen, I guess. And now I'm processing, but I can't get left behind. So I grab my keys, say peace out to the little boy and the toddler with just the diaper, no shirt, socks, and a little outie belly button eating 3-day-old Cheerios. I say peace out. I didn't get to see how the Looney Tune episode ended. A little upset about this. And my man Jay starts breaking out towards my car. Now, this dude's car is probably, I don't know, 10, 20 yards away from my car. And he's at his car. And so Jay goes to get into my passenger seat. and I go to get into my driver's seat. Well, while we're doing this, dude comes from around his car and starts walking towards our car. He don't got nothing in his hands, so I'm not super scared at this point. Again, this is a long time ago. I was young, not really understanding that this is how just about every episode of the first 48 starts. And so we get in the car, and my man Jay's like, hey, we got to go. So I'm like, all right. He looks very serious at this point. Up until this point, everyone's been just kind of, except for me. I think even the little toddler with just the diaper and the socks and the alley belly button eating the 3-day-old Cheerios was like, dude, this is serious. But nobody else really was until this point. Jay's like, hey, we got to go. Now, I'm not kidding. I know it's going to sound ridiculous. It's going to sound like this is a movie, but I'm serious. I go to turn on the nut, and the car won't start. I'm not kidding you. Ah, son of a bitch. Now, here's the thing. Back then, everybody wanted to have a lot of bass in their car. I didn't have a whole lot of money, so I had rigged up the system myself. I mean, seriously, every time I got in the car, I had to twist the little wires to get the power to the amplifier. And I had some Sherwin Vega house speakers in the back. So most likely, I had something jacked up with the wires. So I unhooked that real quick, because maybe it's not getting enough power to my battery. And finally it starts. Well, as it starts, my man smacks the window with his hand, like open hand. What? And I'm like, what? And I roll my window down just a crack, just so I can hear what he's saying. He said, I'm gonna fuck you up. And he points at me. And I'm thinking to myself, this is not cool. Like, I'm looking at the scenario from your point of view. How you picked me to fuck up? That ain't right. Like, seriously, you came to the door, you saw me sitting on the couch with the little kid, with just the diaper and the socks and a little alley belly button, eating 2-day-old Cheerios. You saw that. Now you see, who I'm guessing is your girl, with another dude coming out the kitchen door, and you gonna fuck me up? I'm not saying that it was culturally biased, but I think it was culturally biased. So he has decided he's gonna fuck me up. I'm like, no, I can't have that. So soon as he says that, I throw it into reverse. Skirt! It's like a half gravel, half dirt. So it's, and there's dust all over the place. I swear to God, I wish we had cameras back then, because we would put some videos on YouTube and we'd have made some serious money. So, skirt! And I start to go and drive away. He jumps in his car, which is definitely faster than my car. It's like a Cutlass type thing. So it's, I mean, I got a little 4-cylinder, 1979 Toyota Tercel. His car ain't great, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's got more horsepower than my car. So he jumps in his car and he skirts out. Now he's after us. If you've ever been to downtown Sanford, it's kind of like a grid. There's a lot of just side streets and it's a bunch of squares. So you can go parallel down streets, you can cut across. And I swear to God, it looked like a chase scene from Beverly Hills Cop. So I go down the road, he comes out behind me down the road. My friend Jay's turning around going, dude, go, dude, go, dude, go. I'm going, dude, shut up. Like, I'm trying to go. There's literally no reason that I wouldn't be trying to go. Out of the two of us, he said he's going to fuck me up. And I ain't do nothing. So we're going. I'm trying to lose him. So I cut down the side road. He cuts down the side road. Cut down another side road. He cuts down another side road. But then I see like a little alley between like two houses. Like back in the day in Sanford, like you had like kind of detached garages, and a lot of people did like little barber shops or kind of car service places in their detached garages. So this alley kind of went between some of those. So I cut it, and I'm going, and I see him miss the road, and then I see him reverse back to come back down the alley. But to see him, I'm clearly not paying attention to what's in front of me, and I'm looking through the rearview mirror. I look back down at the road, and I swear to God, there is an old lady pushing a shopping cart across the alley, and as I go by, I didn't slam into it like the movies, but as I go by, she lets it go, and I clipped the side of it and knocked it over, and cans all over the place. I'm not kidding. I wish I had a camera. I swear it happened. Cans all over the place. The lady's giving me the finger. She's mad as hell. Now she wants to fuck me up too. So now I got two people that want to fuck me up. And I didn't do nothing. And so anyway, So dude's still driving. I finally get through the little alley. I'm guessing the can thing kind of threw him off a little bit. And I get to the main road. Now, on the main road, you're out of downtown Sanford, basically, and you're on what becomes 1792 if you're from Orlando. And then also 46, which is First Street if you're in downtown. So I come to the main road, skirt out on the main road, and I see the light in front of me, and I'm like, ooh, I gotta get that light. I gotta make that light. Because if I get stopped at that light and he rolls up behind me, done. So I friggin' punch it. I'm like, please, little nut, if you're ever gonna go fast now. So I punch it, and the nut goes through. Light turns yellow. Another car gets over to turn as well and stops at the light. Whoo! That's my guardian angel. So dude gets caught behind that. We go, and then just finally get far enough down the road that I could turn and go kind of like I took like 6 back ways back to my house because I didn't want this dude to like just by chance head that direction and run into us. And so we finally get back to my house, and my friend Jay is like, it never happened. Dude, that was crazy, man. F you. I almost got killed. All that true story. And all of that came back to me last night while I was watching the first 48, because on that episode, exactly what happened. Dude ended up at a girl's house. Some dudes showed up at the girl's house. They tied him up with some phone wire, rolled his ass, lit him on fire, and threw him in a ditch. Now he's on first 48. That could have happened to me, I mean, very easily. But again, I was 16, 17 years old, and I didn't really think all that forward, which makes me laugh now when I tell my son, man, you need to think 5 minutes ahead, not 5 seconds ahead. I guess it's probably just a teenage thing to not think too far ahead. Anyway, make sure you check out my podcast anywhere that you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app. Check out thebriangrimes.com. All my social media at thebriangrimes. YouTube.com/Brian Grimes. I need you to check that out. Hit subscribe. We're going to have video episodes of all the podcasts from here on out. Yeah, so that was a good fun time from back in the day when I could have been a subject of the first 48.